Take it away.
Thanks so much. We are super excited to be with you guys today and talk about some things that we do to help recruit underrepresented students to computer science. Just a little bit for me, and then I'll let Mackenzie go. I'm going to click to, we want to click to our slide, Mackenzie, our slide.
Oh, see my mouse. I apologize in advance. I have an out of control mouse.
So I'm on the right side and Kenzie's on the left side, and our little Bitmoji peeps are here to say hi to. This is our information, a little bit about me. I am the Director of School Counseling at Harrison High School in New Jersey. These are the ways if you want to get in touch with me. My Twitter account, our Instagram for the high school, which is our Pride and Joy, right, is at Blue Tide Guide, and then our Facebook is also available. But you can reach out to me through my email as well throughout the presentation or after the presentation if you have some thoughts. And I have been a school counselor for 13 years. I was a history teacher before I was a school counselor. And then for the past 5 years of that 13, I have been the Director of School Counseling. So it's definitely been an experience, certainly coming from the classroom to the counseling space to the administrative space. So I have kind of all those boxes ticked, and I'm happy that we can kind of talk about the things that work and things that could be successful for you as well. So go ahead, Mackenzie.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Johnson. I am from a small town in northern Minnesota called Duluth. If you know the Great Lakes, Great Lake Superior looks like a wolf, and at the tip of the nose is Duluth, which is where I live. I can see big, beautiful Lake Superior off my back deck. I work in a rural school of about 700 high school students. I'm a high school counselor. This is my 12th year doing that, and I absolutely love my job. And doing this work, the C4C work, is so fun to meet other people from other places. And I'm looking forward to being able to travel at some point and maybe meet some of you in person at some point or another. So we're really thankful you're here. Jen and I get like giddy and excited about this kind of work. You'll be able to tell our energy. We just get all like, ooh. And I just want to start by saying too, like on my way home from work, I was thinking about Ahmaud Arbery and this year anniversary that we're having today and all of the things that have happened for centuries, but specifically for the last year. Sometimes I find that this work that we do with computer science is like a boots to the ground. It's a tangible way that we can work on access and equity. And it makes me feel like as a school counselor, and hopefully for you as teachers or administrators or whatever your role is, that you're able to use some of these techniques to help guide equity and access in your buildings and really like start solving some of the world's problems. And so this work also gives me energy for that because I feel like it's really important right now and our kids are hungry for it because technology is everywhere, especially after this last year. So we're really excited that you're here. We don't want to spend too much time on NCWIT and C4C because we know that most of you have already gotten kind of that info. But if you weren't here last time, NCWIT is the National Center for Women in Technology. It's kind of our parent company. It's a nonprofit that's funded by like Amazon and Google. And then within NCWIT is Counselors for Computing, which is just a bunch of really rad school counselors that do professional development to try to create a pathway for more students to have access to computer science because that's where they're going to be successful in our growing marketplace. Do you want to talk a little bit about C4C, Jen?
Yeah, so like Mackenzie kind of did the good intro there about what we're doing as counselors. I think that sometimes counselors can be an overlooked resource in a building. And when we go to the next slide, we'll kind of talk a little bit about where we end up being so useful. But C4C allows for those opportunities for school counselors to provide the information and the resources that help put the computing conversation in the front line, like help us put it to the front of a conversation in an effort to like make sure that all of our students are cared for, right? And in that next slide that Mackenzie has is why the school counselors are so important. And when you kind of look at it, you'll see the school counselors are in the middle, and then we have all these different stakeholders. And we are, as school counselors, in this position to be able to talk with all these different stakeholders at different times or at the same time, right? How many times do we have like a parent teacher conference, or we have like a community like a PTA or like an FSA event or things like that that allow us to speak to board members or community members or even like military recruiters. A lot of times all that funnels through the school counseling office, and we work individually with students, but then we also look at things from a global perspective, right? Because we see the students like globally, and that allows us to identify barriers and then begin to work to remove those barriers. And like when I say like begin to work, it's a process. Like make no mistake about it, it's a process and it takes time, but it also takes like our intention. And that's part of the conversation that we're having today, is that intention to create and recruit underrepresented populations.
Can we just do like a poll in the chat? Like, let us know if you're a teacher or administrator and if you currently have a program or not. I think that would be helpful for us.
Yeah.
If you jump on the chat and just kind of let us know, like, we're making a CS program or I'm an administrator trying to support that, because we as school counselors are your allies. And if you don't know the school counselors you work with yet, go find them and, you know, get to know them. So
yeah.
let's kind of zip through that. So kind of what I spoke to in the beginning is that this is a bit of our ethical standards. Like it is our jobs as school counselor to create those systemic changes by advocating for a system that's going to give all students access. And when we look at stats of computer science, I know you looked at that last time, like we have a very white dominant male computer science population, and we need to change that to make it more reflective of our communities at whole, so that we're solving problems using everybody's viewpoint and not just one viewpoint. So that's just like our ethics. That's the groundwork in which we always are making decisions, which is why it's important for us to be a part of this.
Right. And then we look at why everybody else is a part of it, and the school faculty and staff, right, including all of us, is because we highlight in this slide a girl's decision, but really you can honestly interchange that out with anything. You know, like a student of color, like anybody, you could put in that situation a decision to pursue computer science, and you'll see like encouragement, career perception, self-perception, and academic exposure. You see like those factors there and the percentages of them, and why it's important to foster those conversations, foster that academic exposure, put that encouragement out for women and for people of color, and you know, for any underrepresented population that we are really speaking to, and making sure that we are being intentional with the information that we're giving out in regards to career perception or academic exposure. Like what do they need in order to be successful, and not providing those barriers within our you know, within our course catalogs, right, or within our course offerings. So that's super important, and why it involves all of us. It kind of brings us all together, and that leads us into our next slide to kind of tell you a little bit about computer science changing the world.
The 19th century was about the Industrial Revolution, about electricity, about disrupting the agricultural society and making it more advanced. The 20th century was about physics and engineering, do more things easier in our everyday life, from refrigerators to washing machines. And the 21st century is definitely the digital age. It's the internet.
Even if you want to become a race car driver or play baseball, or you know, build a house, all of these things have been turned upside down by software.
LettuceBot is a robot that can sense its environment every single hour. This LettuceBot is seeing 1.5 million plants, and it's taking individual action on those plants. We enable lettuce growers to have higher yields in their field by helping make it cheaper, by helping produce food in a more sustainable way. And that wasn't previously possible without computer science and technology.
I have a really fun job where we build Polymore, which kind of combines all my favorite things. So programming as well as fashion, art, and design, and shopping. Half the products you use these days are software products that you play with on maybe your phone. And so if you want to build something cool, you need to know programming, right? And there's so many things that you can do with computer science. So if you just work backwards from the cool thing that you want to build and figure out what that is, a lot of times computer programming is part of that, right? So you should learn this skill.
It's really exciting right now. The technology that we're developing right now is going to be used by your doctor in the next decade. When you come into the office and you're sick, and the doctor is going to be like, all right, spit in this cup. And I will put it into this magic machine, which is a sequencer. And in an hour, I can tell you what you have or what's wrong with you. So if we're looking for a new virus, for example, we'll download a database of all the viruses that are known. And we'll search for, our sequence of interest against a whole database of all viruses. So you still need somebody to analyze the data. The computer is not smart enough yet.
Our software helps people save energy and thereby reduce their carbon emissions. To date, we've saved over 8 terawatt hours, which is the equivalent of about 1.1 million cars on the road.
When you're forecasting the wind, there's so many different parameters that go into it. It would be impossible for a human to sit down and do all those calculations. We need a computer model in order to forecast it.
I write software which scans images, looking for bad images that we know are illegal. I work very closely with organizations like the National Center for Missing Children. I know that the work that we've done has impacted the life of people. And I feel very strongly about it because there's a lot of social problems right now that could really leverage the use of technology. It's a lot about empowering the people who are there helping the world by giving them the tools to be able to do better. That's something that we can do right now, and the tools available are huge.
The merging of art and technology is getting more and more significant now because computers and software are such an integral part of our lives day to day. People are realizing that it can be quite creative to take this medium of computers and create incredible works of art.
In Finding Nemo, when Crush and Squirt and all the friends are flying through the East Australian Current, you're seeing images of water flowing by, you're seeing the colors on the back of the turtle, you're seeing the sides of the fish. All of those things are generated through math and computer programs that we write, that we then give to the artists, and they take that to create that final image and tweak it and make it look beautiful and look fun.
The crux of it is really about invention. It's about looking at the world and being dissatisfied with things and questioning everything.
I always felt like if I didn't learn how to program, it would be like not learning how to read. The future would just be closed to me.
If you're in the coding profession, there's so many things that you can do, and you can pretty much pick and choose the course you want to be in.
I think that you can start something in your college dorm room, and you can have a set of people who haven't built a big company before come together and build something that 1 billion people use as part of their daily lives is just crazy to think about, right? It's humbling and it's amazing.
Really, it's about the chance to reinvent things and then see it out there in the world and see people using it and having fun or having a better life because of something that wasn't there before that you put in the world.
Right, so we're always so curious, right, to know when you're thinking about your interaction with your kids, like with your students, what do you think if you were to show them this video, like what do you think that they're most attracted to? Like type it in the chat, like which one do you think that they're most attracted to?
Or if you want to unmute yourself, and we're a little group, so if you want to share too.
My students loved that Chris Bosh, the NBA All-Star, coded when he was in college.
Of course.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote in the chat, Mark, like he didn't even need Mark Zuckerberg. He's just Mark.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that you're right, Ryan. I agree. My students, when I show them this video, They are often impressed by the agriculture, because I think that our students in this time are problem solvers, right? They see things in the world that they want to fix and they want to make better, they want to improve on. So I think that you're right. They do really look at that lettuce bot, which I mean, I think the whole video is cool, right? But that's a pretty cool sentiment. I know that Mackenzie and I both agree on the sequencer, right? The medical sequencer. I simply agree on it just because if you've ever had to give a strep test to an 8-year-old or a 7-year-old or under, you know what a pain in the neck that can be trying to get a swab. So I'll take spit over swabbing any day.
Yeah, and how interesting talking about scanning for viruses by a spit test. I mean, I don't know how many of you have been able to take a saliva COVID test, but this used to seem really crazy a few years ago, and now just even a few years later, kind of where we're at. And I think that will engage a lot of students. We'll get to our recruiting efforts, but I think this is kind of one of those things to start planting in your mind that this is a great video to show parents, students, admin. If you're trying to get a group of people to understand why computer science is important, maybe a school board, this very clearly shows in a short amount of time how diverse it is. It's no longer just somebody coding a program behind a computer. So it's a good tool. And one of the reasons why we show it is, oh gosh, my jumpy mouse, is because the World Economic Forum is saying these are the things that they're looking for in hireable employees in 2022. So when we're thinking about creating an environment in our K-12 setting that's going to prepare students to get a job, to gain employment once they leave our setting, we're looking at these skills, right? Like complex problem solving, reasoning, emotional intelligence. Of course, Jen and I think that that's important. But when you look at these trends and how they've changed, future hires need to have complex problem solving, which is all about computer science. So computer science is looking at what is a problem you want to solve. So I've changed from asking students, what do you want to be when you grow up? When I talk to my high schoolers, I ask them, what problem do you want to solve? Because so many of our students are driven by problem solving because they're playing apps when they're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're wanting to solve problems and get farther in their games. And so kids are really relating to this information.
And I think like too, when you talk about these skills,
sorry, let me go back.
No, you're fine. Like, I think that these might have been like soft skills, nice to have skills, like maybe even just 5 years ago. And now these are skills that you really need to have. And when you think about your classrooms or your school in general, who doesn't want a kid that can think critically, right? Who can complex problem solve? And who doesn't want that person on their team, right? I want people on my team that can do those things, that can be creative, that can still like be active learners, that work with reasoning, have their executive functioning. So like these are skills that we're all teaching, whether we're in the classroom, whether we are school counselors, whether we're administrators. These are, if you came out and you told me my child, like my own child, had all these things, I would think he was a $1 million kid, right? So, and that's not even grades, right? We're not talking about grades, we're talking about these skills. So, sorry, Mac, you can go ahead.
No, so this next slide, I think is important for you when you're thinking about recruitment. Some of you said you're creating CS. If you've got to go to a school board or administration, or even to fellow teachers to see if someone's willing to do some professional development, if you don't have computer science, this is like the moneymaker in some cases. So computing jobs are the #1 new source of wage in the United States. So when you look at this graph, you can see like where we are in education, there's a little bit growing, healthcare is a little growing, but if you look over at computing, 16% of our new jobs being created are in computing. So we know that if we want to give students a chance to move out of their homes, create a life for themselves, pay back their college loan, be able to contribute to our economy and have access to our like great American life that we try to live, we want to send them into careers that are going to have openings for them. And that's a part of like, I think why Jen and I were really drawn to this as counselors, because this is part of our job, is talking to kids about careers. And I know when I saw these next few slides, I had no idea what computer science was. And this was just a few years ago. Like I had very much that idea of it's a Sheldon behind a computer and you have to be kind of a nerdy person that loves science and math. And that is absolutely not the case. That is not how computing is working anymore. So this next slide, Jen, you want to take the next two? Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna do that next one, but then we're doing that second one together, girl. That's our fave, right? So just looking at this, people are always talking about like making sure we have math and science like educated and core focused kids, but really it's a computer science issue with STEM, and that you need to understand that 67% of the new jobs in STEM are in the computing aspect of like science, technology, engineering, and math, like the STEM programs. And 10% of the STEM graduates are computer science. So when you think about that, like they're not matching up well. And so there becomes a deficit. But not only a deficit, there is also a lack of voice in this deficit too of these underrepresented populations who aren't in that space, in that 10%, who are programming and making the technology that works. I literally just read, I'm not kidding, like I just read it maybe like an hour and a half ago, that the pulse oximeter, like, do you know that thing that everybody's been using on their finger to check to see if like they're breathing for like, that it wasn't registering people of color, their oxygen levels as accurately as a white oxygen level like read. And that is a programming issue, right? That is honestly, that's a programming issue. And that's something that needs to be fixed. There's another like topic we could talk about is like gender shades, but that's like a whole other, that's a whole other webinar, right? But in this situation, you know that those underrepresented populations don't have a voice in what's being created. And that has to change because we're not going to be representing everybody, right? We're not going to be putting out a whole comprehensive like life for everyone, like an interactive with technology type of experience. So that moves us to our next amazing slide. Here it is.
You're going to take a picture of any of the slides. This is the one. This is the slide, okay? So this is kind of, Jen calls it her pivot slide.
Yep.
So I'm going to walk you through it because it's sort of busy. So the first thing I want you to focus on is on the right-hand side, there's the social sciences. So we look at this slide and these are how many students are enrolled currently in programs, and it goes by associates, bachelor's, master's, and PhD. And then it's broken down by male and female. So we'll look at that discrepancy too, because we know we don't have enough females and BIPOC students enrolled in CIS classes. Those are kind of our two main focuses. And I'll talk a little bit more about my third focus in a little bit. So if we look at social sciences, so this was me, I went to the University of Minnesota Twin Cities and I got a psychology undergrad degree. I would have been in that sort of tealy kind of color there, right? It's pretty balanced between males and females. There's lots, 150,000 students enrolled in that program. Now, if you go to the right and look at that neon green, look at the job openings for those students. We're talking 26,000. So this is where we see the discrepancy of people like me that had to move back home with their parents, had a hard time paying back their student loans, had to continue on to go get a different degree or get a job in an area that maybe they're not interested in. So when we look at talking to our K-12 students about what jobs are out there, a lot of them in my school are talking a lot about engineering. So then let's switch to the left, right? Looking at engineering, you'll notice that we're just looking at the four-year degree right now, the bachelor's degree. There is a major discrepancy between males and females. But if you look at the percentage of or number of students that are enrolled in the program versus the job opening, they're more likely to get a job and they're going to be more competitive, and it's going to be a market that's going to be better for them. The outcome is going to be better. Now, when we go to computer and information sciences, let's look at all three of the categories. Look at how small the women's are, right? Look at how much discrepancy is there versus males. And then if we look at, even if you stacked all three of those graphs up, our job openings are off the charts in the 350,000 jobs annually that are open, and there are not enough people to fill it. And the people that are filling it, like Jen said, are not representative of our whole community because there's a lot of perceptions about what computer science is. So when we saw this slide, and I hope when you see this slide, it really stands out to you that if we are educators and it is our ethical obligation to educate students in a way that they are going to be successful, and as we start to decrease the gap, our education gap of BIPOC students, we need to be sending more of those students in a direction that is going to help them be successful. So this is one of those graphs that every time I present it, people are like, what? Like, how is this true? You know, and I show this to all my juniors every year. I'm going to start showing it to freshmen because they need to know beforehand, but like, they're like, whoa, like, where's the money? Where am I going to get a job? How do I get this? The other thing that's important about computer science, I have a college about 2 miles up the road from me that has a 2-year associate's degree in cybersecurity. Those students are going to school for about $18,000 for a 2-year program and are getting hired in the $100,000 starting off salary. They can travel anywhere they want. They're getting contracts with the Department of Defense. They are really like desperate for people to go into those programs. So if you have students that are not ready for a 4-year program, but they're complex problem solvers and maybe they've done successful computer science classes with you in your K-12 setting, that is a great program for them. It is not just a 4-year or beyond. Jen, add to that because I could just go on and on.
Right? I'm telling, this is our slide. This is our slide, right? So also just to add too, we're not saying like that social science is awful and you shouldn't go into that field, right? But if you could combine like something in social science and computing, you would be a gold mine. Like you would be amazing in any kind of job market. So for instance, we hear a lot about like intuitiveness of like programming, of like applications we use, or what makes people coming back. So if you had like a psychology degree and computer science, you would really be set to be able to walk into like a development like area and be able to provide really good information to that company. Like, and you would be a marketable person like to be employed there. Also, another way to look at it too is military, right? So through the military, you can go to college. And a lot of my students, I work in a Title I school. 86% of my students are free and reduced lunch students. And the military is a very viable option for them to be able to go to school and not have like a heavy burden of loan. So when you think about those students who are going into technology fields there, they're getting top-notch training. When they come out of the military, their security clearances are so high that companies will take them because they save them money on the security clearance. Like security clearances last about 10 years and they will save them money. I did the, if you guys have an opportunity, here is a tip, right? If you have an opportunity and your recruiters come in and they ask you to take an educator visit, do it. Right? They flew me from New Jersey to San Diego in February, which was like paradise. Okay. Paradise. And I got to stay on the naval base for 5 days and learn all about like the installations and go on submarines and stuff. And part of it was this technology piece that really spoke to me about like the top-notch training they were getting, not just like in a submarine, but also like in the medical aspect. You know, they were operating on a cadaver that was in Bahrain, but the computer that they were using to manipulate was in San Diego. Like it was just the coolest thing. But just to give you an idea, like those are the other options that we need to make sure that we're telling our students about, because what do we hear in the news right now? Loan forgiveness, loan repayment. How are we going to pay back our loans? We are doing a disservice to our students if we let them leave our spaces without this education, right? And that's not just a school counselor role. That is like a teacher role, that's an administrator role. We are doing them a disservice if we tell them to go out and embrace this education, but also embrace the $50, $60, $70, $100,000 in loans that are going to come when they're not going to be able to get a job that helps them pay that loan back. And it's something that I feel extremely passionate about, especially as, you know, financial aid packages are just being settled like right around now. And we're really trying to educate kids on that aspect. So that's our slide, our favorite one.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, does anybody have any responses or things that are coming up for them as they see this information? Is this new information for you? Are you aware of this? Kind of Somebody want to take a chance and unmute themselves and share?
You could also say that we're crazy and overzealous. And we will say yes.
Hi, Mackenzie and Jennifer. I have a question.
Yeah.
I think especially when you're speaking to the younger students and you show them this information, I think they want to like know what kind of careers are listed under computer information science. So what are some of the guiding things that you share with students in regards to like career-wise?
That is such a great question, especially for the different age levels. And at the end, we're actually going to show you some resources that kind of talk about the different career paths and some of the interventions that we do. I have a couple slides that you'll see in my Bitmoji room, but I know that I try to use the resources that NC WIC gives me. I have like these little cards that kind of tell about different careers. My sister is an elementary school counselor, and she does the career infusion by like doing author visits. Like she'll do it by going into sessions with the teachers and doing and bringing like speakers to come in to talk about what they're doing. And she's intentional with who she picks to come in. Like she'll pick computer science or technology related field to come in and speak about the changes they've seen. But you'll see more in my slides about like some of the things that like I've done to bring awareness there.
Good question. Anybody else want to jump in really quick before we move forward with kind of our specific recruitment strategies? Isabel saying, I worry about sending students into the tech workforce just as high paying careers, and many of those job students are kind of cogs in the machine. Not sure if there's much I can do about it, but it is something that worries me.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming she's like military. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, military, that stresses me out too, because I find it a little predatory personally, but again, it's something like, I don't know that I really have control over that. It obviously has benefits, but I know that a lot of those jobs, especially at, like Google, Facebook, that type of place, you're just kind of a body that's there. You're not really going to be like an innovator, you're not going to be someone who's really making change in the way that it's sometimes sold. So that's something that worries me. Like I said, I don't know that it's really anything that I have control over, like on this side of it, but I worry about it.
Well, I think it also comes from the empowerment, right, that you want to give a student. So it's very likely that, that they may experience that type of work at some point in their life, like where they are kind of like a low man, cog in the wheel kind of thing. But in that encouragement factor, we are asking them to create, right? We're telling them to be inventive, like to create a space for them. And hopefully with that encouragement from multiple people, they'll be able to, build on that, and get involved with people that can bring out that creativity in them.
And I find that many young people and the high schoolers I work with don't want to work in large corporations or work for others. There's a large entrepreneurial belief in this current group that I'm working with. And so I feel like giving them computer science skills allows them to create some sort of solution to pitch to someone or to create on their own. Like how many people are YouTubers or TikTokers or Instagram, influencers? That is all computer science and algorithm driven. So I feel like what you're bringing up is a really good point. Like we don't want to solve the problem by putting them back into the problem. So I just think it's great that you're even thinking about that. So thank you for sharing that. That's going to give me some good thought to think about moving forward. I want to think about that more. So I appreciate you sharing. I think we should move forward because it's 40 after and we promised some recruitment strategies. So I'm going to zip along through, not that these aren't important, but Jen and I now...
That's a cool slide, the slide that you just like kind of passed over just briefly, because we just started talking about it. So how cool that the slide progressed in the way without even us clicking on it, talking about like jobs and talking about how we want to engage students in that conversation. So I love that. Like, good job, everybody. Good job, everybody.
So Jen's going to share a little bit about specific recruitment strategies, because I think we should spend, Jen, if we could, 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes a piece on what we specifically do, because that's really the purpose. And then that'll leave us maybe 10 minutes for Q&A or to bounce around some additional ideas. So why don't you go? You got 5?
Yeah, I'm
And the
trying to
logo.
just get on my I'm trying to get on my screen. Okay, do I have hosting? Are you sharing with me? Do you know? Let's see. I guess we'll find. All right, I don't think
I can click on it. Do you want me to click on it?
Yeah, like, so you can click on anything. This will be fun. It'll be like roulette for me. Okay, so I made this Bitmoji room because it helped me like best express the things that I've done. And okay, so this slide this is a good one. So this slide that Mackenzie picked for me first is something I started to do after I came back from the C4C training. And it was take my computer science classes and break them down. So if you look at the bottom, that's when before I was there, I didn't get to this position until 2016. And you'll see like the classes were like basic computers, game programming, and hardware software. We found out the students hated basic programming because they knew how to do basic computer skills by the time they got to the high school, and it was boring and it turned them off to computers after that. So then we just started building upon that and growing the program. And you'll see, I mean, a pretty big advancement, I think, for our little school. We only have 700 students in our school. So to add like all these courses is really a lot of fun for me to schedule. No, master schedule is not fun, but it's important. And then I started to break it down by male and female. And this year I'm going to break it down by race and ethnicity. Like that's my next goal. But just an idea of something that you can do is look at the breakdowns in your classrooms, see what you're looking at. What are ways that you can engage other students to come in? Okay, you can go back to let's pick another one. Pick another one. Oh, it's my speaker. Get it? It's a speaker. All right. So again, we talk about that intention stuff. Here is our Blue Tie Guide. I talked about our Instagram. We post everything there. That's where we get a lot of our engagement with students too, is on Instagram. But we had a guest speaker come in from New Jersey Institute of Technology, who was females who came in to talk about computing, and we invited our girls, and it was like a little lunch and learn session. And so that is a great way to kind of bring anybody in. So even if you're a teacher, you can reach out to some of the schools and ask, do they have like a graduate student union, or do they have undergrads who would like to come in and talk about their experience? And they will definitely do that. So you can go ahead and click somewhere else.
Is there another one you want me to click on that you want to create?
Yeah, can you click on the viewer, the VRs? Yeah. And so like this is something that we did, again, using technology in a way that wasn't overpowering. Like I'm not saying you should be in computer science. Like that's not like my overall mantra, but being able to interact with the technology. So we use the VR viewers here. We have a women's empowerment group at our high school. Every marking cycle, we do an event with one grade level of all of the females or students who identify as female. And in this one, you see we all wear our girl power shirts, and we use the VR viewers to, some of the students were looking at colleges, right? They were doing some college tours through the VRs, and other students, we were using it for anti-anxiety. Like we put an aquarium setting on there, and we let the kids kind of just chill and find the fish, right? And kind of just be in a space that allowed them to relax. But again, interacting with technology in a way that gets their mind moving. Like, what else can I do with this? And through this, I have about 25 viewers, like the VR viewers, and I've kind of established a lending library, and the students will come down and ask if they can borrow the viewers for a presentation they're doing for their class, and they use it in class. So that's just another great way, again, infusing opportunity for technology without, without screaming, do computer science. But I mean, I'll just kind of go, we did get the 2019 AP Computer Science Principles Diversity Award. Like that's just a little information about it. Again, that was us really trying to be intentional about our enrollment. And we did do an all-female, this was really cool. We did an all-female career fair. So we only had females come in for the career fair, and they talked with the students about what it was like in that role. And one of my former students came, and she was a detective at the prosecutor's office, and she actually encouraged the students to go into computer science and in cybersecurity, because she felt like the detective work you could learn, but the computer stuff would get them like in the door in a better space to be able to go anywhere. So I kind of went quick. I didn't hit everybody, but I want Mackenzie to go and do her stuff too, and then leave time for us to talk. I hope I didn't go too quick.
So just a little background, in my high school, we started computer science. Last year was our first year in our high school. We have a STEM program in our middle school and a STEM and technology program in our elementary. So we started kind of at the younger ages and have been building up. And so in our first year of talking about computer science in the high school, we were really intentional. This is a copy of our course description book. So if any of you work in high schools, now is the time where we're all registering and talking about classes. We just dropped a quick picture of female students next to our computer science description. It's something quick and simple, but it immediately grabs the eye of a female student and might like, or even a male student to go, wait, what is that class? Like, why, what's that all about? So that was something that we just did sort of, it's one of those things you can just kind of do along the way and trying to break down some of the perceptions. We're really lucky in our high school that we have a large majority of our math and science teachers are female. And so the other thing I do as a counselor is I email the math and science teachers and the female teachers, and I say, if you have any females or students of color in your class that are creative problem solvers, that you know want like a challenge or seem maybe even bored with school, or also the third population that we really try to connect with are special education students, because they learn differently and they can solve problems differently. And so we gather a list of those students and then we break them up. So I will reach out to kids I know, and then our female math and science teachers reach out to the students in their classes. And we just say, hey, you were on a list of a kid that we think might be really good at computer science. Do you have any idea what that is? Here's what it is. Here's the class. And I have all these little like brochures that I give to the students. And the reason we did that is because our computer science teacher is a white male, and he felt like he's in this work too, and he feels like, I don't want to be the guy that's just walking around being like, hey, you should take computer science, hey. And he doesn't teach anything else. He's our technology integration specialist, so students don't know him. So we felt like that was a barrier. So by having other students and staff in our building reach out to students, that has been successful also. The other thing we would recommend, just from both of us, and Jen kind of talked about this, keeping track of who's enrolled in your computer science classes, and then being really intentional to continue to increase diversity. Because our first year, we only had 1 female and I think 22 males. So even with all of the things we did, there's still that natural perception barrier, but every year we've set goals of how we want to increase diversity amongst our groups.
And even like in the diversity that Mackenzie's talking about, not falling like victim to the idea that a STEM program is only for honors kids, right? So STEM is for anybody who wants to invent the future. And we were able to kind of change that conversation at my school. And so now in our STEM Academy, we have special education students. I have ELL students, right? We have high students. We have middle of the road students. If you want to invent the future, we want you in the STEM Academy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so those are some of the things that we do. I think if you are creating a computer science program, really advocating to work alongside a counselor would be helpful, because we do have a lot of those conversations with students about careers. And unfortunately, we're like the schedule rats. So we're the ones like going in and scheduling kids, or we're the ones that they come to and they say, hey, I want to drop this class. Is there any other electives? I'm constantly like pushing, hey, have you ever taken computer science? Are you interested in computer science? So counselors really want to work alongside you. So if you don't have a working relationship with your counselor, we would just really recommend that, or like send them to us and we can offer some training for them, or we can talk to them about this work because we feel really passionate about that. So we're at our 5:49 mark. Just zipped right through this hour. I'd love to hear questions. I'd love to have some conversation about barriers that you're experiencing.
I'm loving the comments in the chat, like Teresa, like I think you have some like really, I love that about being recommended, like she talks about being recommended really creates a bond like with that kid and gives them just that little bit of empowerment, right? That allows them to walk through the door and ask, maybe I can, you know, or is this a good fit for me? So I love that. Yeah. So maybe we can like just, if you have any questions yet, or maybe you do. Oh, I heard somebody. I heard you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I can share from personal experience as I really worked with 2 schools to begin and grow early college programs here in our state. Yet my son, who's a junior in high school, has yet to take an early college course. And finally, one of his teachers that he has a really good relationship with over the last couple of years actually told him he thinks that my son would be a great candidate for early college. And then sure enough, my son came to me and said, hey, Mom, what do you think? Do you think I can take an early college still? Even though I've been telling him and hundreds of kids every year to do it, he never did it until a teacher he had relationship with spoke to him about it. And he was beaming and just, you know, I think they feel proud, and to know that their counselors and teachers are speaking positively about them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
They never listen to us as parents. It's always got to be somebody else. Yeah. Yeah, we have power. We forget, I think, in education how much power our words and encouragement mattered on students. So that is so true. The other thing I wanted to mention, just as I'm remembering it, the other thing that we did last year is when we do our registration presentation. So we talk to all the juniors, for example, and say, here's the courses, here's how you're going to register. I always pick 2 or 3 classes that I want to kind of heighten or emphasize to get more enrollment in, because they might be new, or they might be like, we had a big push for trades about 10 years ago. So we have all these awesome trades classes. So now we're trying to do that with computer science. So I showed some computer science videos, and I like really pushed it just in that registration meeting. So it's something as simple as that your counselor or you as teachers could talk about in your class just for 5 minutes and say, hey, did you guys know that this is a class you might want to take, or here's a reason why you might want to take it.
We created a video course catalog this year. So all of our teachers recorded videos that we could put on the website. And I will tell you, the most dynamic ones are definitely coming from like the trades and the arts and the tech. But it's a great way, because when kids are like, what does that mean? You know, you're like, click, right? Because you know that happens all the time. They come in, what electives are there? Well, we've been talking about this for weeks.
Yeah.
Like,
what other things do you guys have to share? You people, sorry, not you guys. I'm working on that.
I know, I say that all the time too. I have to stop. Yeah. Well, we could share some of our resources, like, and maybe that'll spark some interest in talking to us, right? Yeah. So this is Technolochicas. They have a YouTube channel that you can use just to kind of highlight some representation. They also have the ability, if you go to their site, they will come out to schools for free and talk to students about CS, or like creativity or app building or things like that. So they're a really great resource. And I think the next one we have is the Modern Figures, right? Wait, do you guys love podcasts? Can you, all right, just put that in the chat. Seriously, a podcast, people, right? It's like my life right now. It's all I do. Yeah, my husband doesn't like that I walk around with my earbuds in, but I'm like, I'm listening to a podcast. But you know, that is a great, so the Modern Figures. And then remember we were talking about things that you could use in the classrooms to talk about careers. These are all clickable links. So when you get the slide deck, you'll be able to use these resources when the slide deck is sent out to you. And you're actually going to get a kit. I think you're getting kits. So that's like super fun. The kit is a lot of fun to unpack. So they have a lot of great posters. I keep forgetting to bring my kit with me home because I have them at work. So, but you'll see that there's a lot of good resources in there. One of the ones that I love is the 10 ways to encourage families. I have a lot of cultural bias when it comes to my girls going into computer science. So sometimes I need to talk to the family and explain that, that there's not just one profession that's going to get your child to be successful. And the 10 ways it can be helpful, that little top 10 ways families can encourage girls' interests. So I don't know if you have a favorite on there, Mackenzie.
I like in the kit, you'll get all these little cards about like what computer science is. And I hand all those out like candy in my office. Even if a kid doesn't, we didn't even talk about computer science. I'm like, oh, hey, I think this would be good for you. People probably think I'm nuts, but I feel so passionately about it. I have elementary age kids and I'm already like, what are you interested in? What kind of problem do you want to solve? So I probably am a little overboard. Oops. So that's all we have for our presentation. We would love if you want to stick around and have any questions or comments or what's resonating with you.
Because Mackenzie, we know that's a lie. That's not all we have. Like, we have so much more, but you guys would probably be super upset to be here for the next hour because we could talk all day about this.
And if you want to connect with us about like your specific recruitment, like with your specific school and your dynamic and what you have going on in your program, like please email us and we would love to talk you through what might be helpful or just be a sounding board for you.
It'd be really great to connect with you.
I'm just going to echo everybody in the chat. Thank you, Mackenzie and Jen. This was a wonderful, engaging presentation. As they've said, and I will add to it, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You've all been getting emails from me. And as long as you've registered for this session, you will be receiving one of those NC WIT kits full of posters and handouts and things like that. Super helpful, super engaging for students and families. So be on the lookout for that. If they haven't arrived from the January one, they should be arriving sometime in the next couple of weeks as well. I'm going to stop the recording right here. So thank you to everybody who has attended. And again, thank you,